What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction, and in this one we have, how many people have you killed? SAS soldier answers your questions. I might be scared of the questions this man asks and scared of the answers that he gives, but we're still going to dive into this video. Now, before we dive in, if you would like to support the channel by becoming a member, just all you got to do is hit that join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Now, let's listen to these questions and answers by the SAS soldier.
How quickly could you take out everyone in this room? Depends what I've got, doesn't it? Look, decent sized grenades to just about cope with this stuff. If I'm down to a sharp pencil, it's going to take a while and get a bit messy, isn't it?
I'd have been like, hold up now, hold up.
Hi, my name's Big Phil Campion. I'm former 2-2 SAS. And I spent a little bit of time on the circuit doing some paramilitary stuff abroad, but we'll find out all about that later, I'm sure. I'm here to answer some questions from the honesty box.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Are the SAS the best in the world? Don't need to ask that, yes.
Dumb question. Yes, we're the best in the world, no doubt about it. I like the confidence. I like it. I like it.
Second.
Hang on. The SPS, they come second. And then outside of that, they're non-runners as far as I'm concerned. Right, here we go. What is selection like? Right, okay, here we go. Selection. Selection into the Special Air Service. It lasts about 6 months-ish, give or take.
Okay.
It is extremely hard.
I bet.
However, and I always say this to people, although it's hard, it is enjoyable, all right? Once you get the hills phase out of the way. The hills is basically everyday, bigger pack, running, walking over hills. But once you get into the jungle, you're soldiering, you're learning stuff. And I like learning stuff, you know what I mean? So that sort of like outweighs the difficulty and the hardship. It's because I'm learning and I'm doing cool stuff. So yeah, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. If you had 300 people turn up, you would probably be looking at maybe 10 or 15 would pass. I think statistically, and don't quote me on this, well, you can quote me on this, but it might not be true, is what I'm trying to say. You've got more chance of playing professional football in this country as you have becoming a member of the SAS. And that's the message that I do like to try and get to young people nowadays, is that it isn't impossible, all right?
Yeah.
You get a few people perhaps fail it, go back to their units and say, oh, yeah, they made me carry this great big truck a bit, oh, it's impossible. No, you're a liar. Because if someone like me can pass it, someone like you can pass it, right? There you go.
I love that answer. Someone like me can pass it, someone like you can pass it. He's saying it is difficult. It's incredibly difficult. You look at the numbers, 300 people show up, maybe 10 to 15 will pass. No, it's harder than becoming a football player in this country. That's crazy to think about. But he's saying it is enjoyable. Yeah, you can find fun in it if you like learning new things. He said, from what it sounds like, the hills are absolutely awful. The hills are absolutely difficult. But once you get in the jungle, you get to learn different things about soldiering that are enjoyable. And he said, while it be very difficult, it's not impossible.
Why do you think you were able to pass it?
That's just the mindset. I wanted to be there. Selection is designed to see if you want to be there or not, okay? And the rest of it is it's monkey see, monkey do. And if monkey can't do, monkey goes home. What makes you a good soldier? Great question. Absolutely great question. I get asked this a lot by young men, you know, what makes you a great soldier? What makes you a good soldier? And I always tell them one thing, it's the basics done well. Okay, if you do your basics well, you will become a good soldier. Forget about dangling off ropes and jumping through doors and kicking windows in and all that sort of stuff. All that stuff will come. It's the basics. The very basics, and soldiers will know what the basics are. The stuff that you learn from day one, you know, it's the stuff that you'll carry with you. It's your foundation, and you'll carry that for the rest of your soldiering career. So get that right. I love that. All right, and you're on your way.
I love that because I believe in anything that you do. It's the, like he said, the basics done well. It's not all the extremely like I guess in sports when you see like flashy stuff. It's not all of that. It's the basics done well. And that applies, I guess, to being a good soldier as well. I love that answer. This guy's awesome.
How does it feel to kill someone? I knew this question was going to be in there. And
here we go.
There's sort of like a standard answer that you'd get if you asked your granddad and that, and they'd be indifferent to it and they'd refer to it as a target or whatever, do you know what I mean? I think there's a little bit more to it than that for me. None of these people that we've sort of like relieved of their time on this planet have been particularly nice people. They've all had an agenda whereby they want to see me dead, or they've all done something completely disgusting and horrible. So actually, in terms of the deed itself, I'm quite happy about it, if I'm perfectly honest. And that might sound a little bit sort of like bullish, and maybe it is, but you probably, after an action in combat, are going to be fairly pumped up. You're going to be fairly glad that you've made it through the other side. And you're going to be glad that you've done your job. And if you're dealing with people that are extremely nasty, like, say, for instance, ISIS or, Al Qaeda or people like that, you've done the world a favour. So actually, you could be forgiven for being quite chuffed with yourself, to be honest. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to leave that there. Did
I like that
you
answer.
wholeheartedly trust your comrades? 100%. Yeah, without a doubt, and I still do. Do you know what I mean? If they were, if they were to back me up or to be at my side now, I would 100%. And I don't even need to test that. So, okay.
The answer, I feel like how it is to kill someone. While someone like me, I guess, wouldn't have expected an answer like that. I appreciate his answer because I completely understand. He said they have agendas. Either they want to see me dead, which, hey, if it's me or somebody else in the room and one of us got to go, one of us ain't going to make it out that room, I hope to be the one to walk out of that room. Or it's someone who's done extremely nasty and awful things. So he's like, first of all, just getting through. You're excited about just getting through it. But then also being able to do your job well and help, I guess, rid the world of some evil in any way, shape, or form. He said, I'm not upset about that. That doesn't upset me. I'm quite actually happy about that, no matter how that sounds. So I appreciate the honesty in his answers, 100%.
If you could only take 3 things in a survival situation...
Ooh.
What would they be? Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls.
Someone who knows what he's doing, right? A decent knife, something to collect water in, and a bit of warm kit. And I think you just about get by with anything there. Do you know what I mean? So there you go. Decent knife, massively important. Massively important. You can do anything if you've got a decent knife. All right, how many people have I killed? Personally, I can't put a number on it because some of the stuff that I've been sort of like engaged with has also been engaged with other people's. And unfortunately, sometimes some of the people, a couple of people that I've probably would have claimed as mine, have dropped in a place where I haven't been able to go and get them. So it's sort of like I haven't been able to go, yeah, definitely mine. All right, so I don't know. I generally don't know. I can account for one for definite, which I ran over in Afghanistan. He was definitely dead. Outside of that, it's all been stuff that other people have been shooting at. I've been shooting at as well, so, don't know.
I see what you're saying.
Is someone like Rambo or one-man killing machine possible?
No way.
Right, you do get people that are extremely large and no, I'm not going to try and bluff you. It's the honesty box, no!
I did hear one soldier, I think it wasn't, Mr. Ballin, on a Mr. Ballin, like, one soldier where man just absolutely reminded you of like a real life Rambo, and he only tells like true stories on his podcast, and listening to it and hear everything that soldier had went through was truly, I was like taken aback. But yeah, I mean, watching Rambo, I completely understand. No way. No freaking way. Man, there's no way that many bullets are firing at this man and nobody's hitting him. So, yeah, I completely get that. And then how many soldiers he's killed, just doesn't know because him and a lot of other guys have been shooting and you don't know who got the kill.
It's the honesty box, no! Oh, dear me. What is the most horrifying scene I've witnessed on duty? I've seen a couple. I've seen a couple of large explosions, which have done quite a bit of damage, and there's been, parts of this, that, and the other all over the place, and you've not been able to sort of identify what part came off what bit and all that sort of stuff. So I've seen a couple like that. I would just say, first time I saw a stack of dead bodies, lined up, which was in Sierra Leone. That was probably about, 10, 15 bodies, all misshapen and beaten up a little bit, obviously dead. That's sort of like, it's not the normal thing to see, but so I don't know, horrifying, expected horrifying, so it's not as bad as horrifying. If you stumble across something in the street and you're not expecting to see that sort of thing, that's more horrifying than actually thinking, I'm going to probably cause a little bit of this, and before you go in thinking, right, you can prepare for it. But if you've just turned up on site and you see something like that, then, and that's never happened to me, so, horrifying. Yeah. How many people have died? Unfortunately, quite a few. And that's not just from things like, actually being there at the time in battle or, in various incidents that I've been involved with, but that's subsequently from things like suicide and that as well. So you know, just because you survive one battle, it doesn't mean you win the war sometimes. And, you know, the war does go on for some soldiers for a very long time, and the battle is in their heads. And so, unfortunately, I've known far too many that have died. Which is very sad.
That's truly heartbreaking. And I definitely have so much respect for anyone that has served, and so much admiration for those because they're willing to sacrifice everything to be able to serve. And then those who have passed on and made the ultimate sacrifice. But it's not just those who have passed on who sacrificed much. It's those who came back, but they're still in a war inside of their heads. And they go on to commit suicide. And it's truly, truly heartbreaking. And you just can't imagine what PTSD I guess they have from coming back from war, and what they went through over there, what they seen. 10, 15 dead bodies stacked up, it would be horrific for me, or seeing explosions and seeing people lose body parts right in front of me. That would absolutely traumatize me. So what these men and women go through is just absolutely heartbreaking. And the fact that he's known a good amount of people, like he's known a good amount of friends, I'm sure, who lost their lives, is sad.
Cool. How long can a human survive without food? Me,
That's a
about
good
5
question.
minutes.
I feel that.
Do you know what,
I feel that.
No, you can go with without food a good while, but water, forget about it. Water, you start cutting your water supply off. You do need water. Do you know what I mean, to keep yourself running? You know, you're talking in days and hours there, as opposed to days and weeks with probably food if you're unlucky. How quickly could you take out everyone in this room? Depends what I've got, doesn't it? I've got decent sized grenades to just about cope with this lot. If I'm down to a sharp pencil, it's going to take a while and get a bit messy, isn't it?
Hold up.
Oh dear. It's almost whoever asked that was like, and can you show us? Would you rather fight a lion, shark, or a bear? Oh dear. I think I'd rather take...
Depends where you're fighting at. If I'm fighting on land, I'd rather fight the shark. If I'm fighting in the water, that's the last creature I want to fight. Probably take the lion.
Shark or a bear? Oh dear. I think I'd rather take them all on at the same time, and then at least I know I'm guaranteed a quick end. You know, I ain't winning that one. Have you ever been flashbanged? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I'm not going to tell you the soldier's name who flashbanged me, but my first time in the killing house, or down at the place where we did that sort of stuff in Hereford, as I went in to clean up afterwards, somebody threw one in after me.
Oh my God.
A little bit of wee appeared. Did I ever disobey orders? Not on an operation, I don't think I've ever gone against orders, but I have gone against plenty of orders, you know, elsewhere. I can remember one time of note, we were doing an exercise and we were out in the jungle somewhere, and the exercise was really and I thought, no, I'm not doing this. So I deliberately broke my compass, walked off in a different direction, and just did my thing for 3 or 4 days, catching fish and eating them, which was very nice.
He said the exercise was crap, so I just did my own thing, went the wrong direction, and I was catching fish and eating a few days. I was living a good life, you feel me? I wasn't doing that exercise, but never during an operation.
Here we go, shag, marry, kill.
Ooh. What we got?
Bear Grylls, Billy Billingham, Ross Kemp. Well, Bear and Billy, I've served with Billy. Billy's a very good friend of mine. Bear Grylls is also a very good friend of mine. I'm going to shag Bear because he's probably the cleanest and he's got the most money. I'm going to kill Ross Kemp and I'm going to marry Billy. Can women join? They can now, yeah. And I hope they do. I don't know whether one has or not, but if she does and she passes selection, like everybody else, she'll be treated exactly the same. So that's cool. Are you ever allowed to leave a man behind? Interesting question, this one, because leaving them behind in theatre is not the done thing. But actually leaving them behind whilst there's a battle raging is the done thing. Because, and I'll give you an example, whilst I was on a raid in a West African village, someone in my patrol did go down. You could hear him screaming. The natural instinct was to go and help out. But we've been told categorically nobody is going back for casualties until we've resolved this thing, because obviously, I go back, I get hit, someone comes to save me. Before you know it, you've got a pile of people over here and nobody doing what they should be doing anymore. So
I see
very
what you're
difficult.
saying.
But wherever humanly possible, you wouldn't leave anybody behind. But that was a difficult decision to leave my mate on the floor. I could hear him. He didn't seem to be doing too well. He pulled through eventually, but at the time,
Oh my God.
I found that extremely hard to do, and you had to do it. It wasn't a case of, in that case, the decision was made for me, really, by what I was doing, but it was a very hard thing to do. So, yeah, that was
I
tough.
can't even imagine that, bro.
Here we go.
I can't even fathom that.
Are there any other countries' armies you feared most? Right, that's an interesting question, because fear, I don't think fear comes into it, but respect, yes, absolutely. Everybody, whether it be a flip-flop wearing, untrained maniac from wherever he came on the planet, wielding a sword, to the most highly trained Russian special forces. If you can come and have a go with us, we're going to roll out the red carpet for absolutely everybody and not treat anybody with contempt, or not believe that anybody's any better or any worse. You're going to get the full treatment every time, okay? So in that respect, it would be very naive and very stupid for me to sort of like, to be labelling people as maybe all these are sort of like lesser than these. Everybody gets the same opportunity as far as we're concerned. Right.
I love that answer as well. You feel me? He's saying anybody, rather you're a flip-flop wearing maniac with a sword or the most trained Russian specialist. You feel me? We respect them all the same and we treat them all the same. Everybody's gonna get our best shot. We don't. It seems like it's like when it comes to fear, not really fear, but a respect thing, and you respect everybody, right, who steps into combat with you, and so you gonna roll out the same treatment for everybody, and everybody, so nobody's any better, nobody's any worse. You look at them and respect them all the same.
Here we go. Do you think young people today will handle being called up?
Oh.
Right. Yes, I do, and I say that because I'm involved in a number of youth organisations, and what I see in youth today, although they're different to what we were when I was a kid. When the guns are firing, they will respond, and I can promise you that. And nothing I've seen tells me otherwise. I've done a lot of stuff with the cadets. I do a lot of stuff with the military preparation colleges, and all those young people are going to make a difference. They want to make a difference. I say this to a lot of people. If it's something that you want to do, if it's something that flicks your switch, join the army and go and do it. Apply, volunteer, okay? Because that's what it's all about. Don't get to my age now, which I'm 55 soon, all right? Don't get to my age and look back and go, oh, I wish I'd done that. Do it now, all right? Because otherwise the chance will go. Are you desensitised to violence? No, not at all. I understand violence from both respects, from both receiving it and giving it. That doesn't desensitise me to it. That doesn't mean that I believe it's either wrong or right, or think it's cool or not cool. I'm indifferent to it, I would have said. So yeah, that's
okay.
it. Yeah, not desensitised.
I like not desensitized, but indifferent to it, understanding of it, receiving and giving, knowing that violence happens. Not that I'm a fan of it, not that I think it's cool. It happens, and so I'm indifferent to it. I understand it from both perspectives. And then going back a couple questions about leaving a man behind, I was gonna say I can't even imagine like having to leave someone who's a friend, who's a brother, who's a sister, who, you know what I'm saying, someone behind enemy lines, like. But I completely understand his answer, and I like the way he put it. Whereas if I go to save him and I get put in a messy situation, now someone comes to save me, and now there's a load of bodies, right, and nobody's actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. That answer made complete sense. But yeah, I'm sure in the moment it's got to be one of the most difficult things.
Do you think a lot of people are desensitized in the army?
Again, I don't think desensitised, but it comes. Does a butcher get squeamish when he cuts a pig open? No, he doesn't eventually, does he? I did my work experience once as a butcher's assistant. I was like, you know what I mean? So it's that sort of thing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's indifference, isn't it? What scares you the most? The missus. Absolutely, category the missus. Yeah, I'm proper. Yeah. Spiders. I don't like spiders. Hate them. Big sassman spider. Right. Does anything you've seen keep you up at night? I've had a few rough nights' sleep. Now, not because of stuff that I've seen, but because I've woke up believing I was still doing stuff. And not that I've had a problem with that, but it's sort of like, it's a bit of a stuff. And I went through a period, and I still dream to this day that I'm in the army. I still do it to this day. I still fall asleep and sometimes wake up thinking I'm in the army. I think it has a massive impact on your life. The stuff that you do will stay with you forever. And like I say, it does, ultimately, if it stays for you forever, that's one of the ways that it does stay. So, yeah, I do get a bit of sleep disruption. What could be improved in the SAS? Great question, that as well. So they'll be asking exactly the same question every time they go out the door. They will ask themselves the question, when they come home, what can be improved? And absolutely everything is debriefed every time the regiment does something. So it could be the most minor thing, the biggest thing, but as soon as everybody's in, as soon as they've finished what they're doing, they'll sit around and they'll go, right, how can we make that better? Okay, so that's a very good question.
I love that.
There'll be loads of things that could be done, you know, whether it be through the use of different technologies, through doing things slightly differently, but experience is usually the one that will dictate this. And so, yeah, very good question. And it's a permanently evolving question.
Yeah, I was going to say I love that answer because it will never be, like, perfect. Everything will never be perfect. Like you said, it's continuously evolving. So, like technology, the more technology you get, the different technology you'll be able to use. And that may force you to do things differently because it's a better method. So, you're always switching your methods, figuring out what works best. I love the fact that no matter how minor it is, they're coming back, they're sitting at the table, and they're figuring out how can we do that better. That's amazing.
Is there support for ex-servicemen and women? There is. I would probably tend to say that sometimes there's not enough. I would also say that if you look at the format that the Americans use with their ex-military, etc., they probably do a little bit more over there, and there's certainly stuff that we could learn from here. Ultimately, there can always be something more done, do you know what I mean? How under threat are we as the public? Good question. You know, there's all this stuff you watch on television, and there's a lot of scaremongering goes on in the press as well.
Yeah,
direct
I
right
believe
now,
that.
I'd have said we're sort of like, we're not out of the woods. We're certainly not in peace times. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of aggro. You know, there's an underlying of Islamic terrorism which is still there, although it's not as prevalent and maybe not, you know, heard of as much. But trust me now when I say there's probably people working around the clock to negate those sorts of threats. You know, we are a small species. We are the only life, as far as we know, in a galaxy of billions and billions of stars. Imagine if we fuck it up. Did I ever feel guilty?
Hey, that's true. Imagine if we F it up. That's true. Yeah, I feel like in the media, I was just going to agree with them from the perspective. I feel like there is a lot of scaremongering like that happens in the media. And it's absolutely like people that pay attention so much to the media and they bring you back like, we're under threat of this, we're under threat of that. And it's like he said, we're not out of the woods, we're not in peace times. But the level of threat like isn't high.
No, not at all. Not at all in anything I've ever done. No, not even slightly. Not
That's
to anybody,
good.
because, you know, ultimately I was there following a set of orders, doing what I was told to do, and so, yeah, no, that's the bottom line. I don't think I need to reconcile about anything. You know, I signed up to do a job, I did that job, I was quite happy doing that job, and so reconciliation, not for me. Who's the biggest hero to you? Right, really interesting question that, because I think in terms of who I aspired to be like the most, my father let me down, school let me down, so I didn't really have that much faith in any of the people who should have been my role models when I was a kid. But my first real role model was a guy called Vern, Big Vern, and he was my section commander in training. And I think he probably, even if he walked in now, I think he's still my hero. Do you know what I mean? I looked up to him.
That's
He
so
won
awesome.
a gallantry medal in Northern Ireland. He'd seen a little bit. He was firm. He was fair. He was a proper bloke, like, do you know what I mean? And I think for me, then he was probably my hero. And if he watches this, yeah, Vern, you're a man. How did you deal with mental health while serving? I didn't deal with it well, and it was taboo. And so, you know, eventually I probably done myself in a little bit with it, to be honest. And when I got out, I tried to mask it. And I was seriously in the belief that if anybody found out that I was suffering with mental health, then I'd be unemployable, I wouldn't be. And once you get out, you know, if you don't get no money, you don't eat. It's as simple as that, do you know what I mean? So I didn't deal with it. I didn't deal with it very well, and that's why I'm a massive advocate of people talking about it, of people doing the right thing and seeking the right help and getting it sorted out. Because if you don't, it only goes one way. It gets worse and worse and worse. And like I say, I ended up in a little bit of trouble, a spot of bother, and it could have all come crashing down around my ears.
Yeah, I am glad that things are different today. That times are different, and where mental health is more looked at, and it's not as taboo. It's not looked down upon, or it's not frowned upon. It's looked at as like everybody has to have good mental health. Like, and I feel like especially those who serve, who probably seen what he's seen in combat, done what he's done. Your mental health is the number one thing when it comes to your life, right? It's got to be taken care of. You can't neglect it. And so, yes, I'm so glad that that's changed. The perspective on mental health has changed, and everybody sees how important it is.
Do I have PTSD? Depends who you ask. And that's, I'm not saying that flippantly. That's seriously, you know, I've had people say to me, I've had my own troubles and my own struggles along the way. Whether they're PTSD related, I don't know. I have had a couple of occasions in my life where I've absolutely completely lost the plot since I've been out. I like to think that I'm probably over that now, but yeah, I probably have struggled a little bit. But where I've gone wrong is I've tried to self-medicate and not acknowledged it and not thrown it up the system and never sought help. And I think my advice to anybody who is suffering from PTSD or thinks that they've got any mental illness whatsoever, go and get it checked out, go and get seek some professional help, or speak to somebody about it who can do that for you, because I've sort of like suffered in silence. Usually the first stage of any of this is to take ownership yourself enough to go and see someone and say something, you know. Best piece of advice you've received? I've been really blessed in as far as I've had some great pieces of advice given me. One of the best pieces of advice I think I've received was as a young man when I was in the squadron, and the sergeant major said to me, he said, "Look, if you find a job that you enjoy, you don't go to work." And I think that's really stuck with me. I've always done stuff that I enjoyed. Do you know what I mean? And if I don't enjoy something, I move on pretty swiftly, because you know life's too short to be doing stuff you don't enjoy. Do you know what I mean? There's the necessity. Sometimes I know you've got to pay your bills and all that sort of stuff, but you know, find something you enjoy to pay your bills, and if you can, you're laughing.
I love that answer. Although I feel like while I do enjoy doing YouTube, I feel like I don't know, with anything you can get burnt out on it. With anything that you have to do consistently, for me personally, I feel like it kind of turns into work for me. Which some days I get in front of this camera are much better than others. Some days I'm in high spirits. I'm excited to come in. Some days I'll get in front of the camera and I'm tired or I'm worn out, and I just may not just feel it that day. But it's like you said, you still got to pay your bills. You still got to eat. And I think that's even with people like who have their dream jobs. I think some days you just don't have it. But that's just coming from my perspective. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who would disagree with me and say that they never feel like they're working because they have their dream job. Me, I don't. YouTube is fun. I never expected to do YouTube growing up. I don't know, it's just something I kind of fell into and I absolutely enjoy. But dream job, I don't know what my dream job would be, because I feel like at some point it would turn like into work. I feel like I'm someone who likes to do like ADHD in a manner. I've never been diagnosed with that, so ignore that. But I'm just saying in a manner of I like to do so many different things. Like I like to switch up. One week I may want to do this, another week I may want to do this, and I may want to do this. And I'm just someone who likes to be all over the place.
Best day on the job. Do you know the best day on the job was probably the day I got picked up all those years back as a young man from the train station, and I had my little rucksack in my hand, and they put me on the back of a 4-ton truck and they took me up to depot. And as we drove through the camp gates, I realised that I was safe now. I was in a place where all the demons from outside, from when I was a kid, couldn't get me anymore. I was part of something bigger, something much bigger, something a lot better. And that now actually I could make my own luck. I can concentrate on what I wanted to do for a living and how I wanted to conduct my life. And I felt safe. I genuinely felt safe the day I went through those gates. And I had a great, fantastic time. I really did. There you go. Starting getting teary now. I told you to get emotional, didn't I?
Lovely answer.
Do you miss it? Of course I do. Absolutely. Full on I miss it. I still see my mates now and again. I don't see enough of them. You don't get enough time on this planet for the people you love. Unfortunately, I've spent quite a bit of my time with people that I don't love as a living. So, you know, my time now is spent with the people that I do truly love and the people that I hold dear to me. So that's, again, I'm going to get down an emotional rabbit hole with you now, but, you know, do I miss it? Of course I do. And that's it. It's basically a series of walking over the hills with a pack that gets larger and larger, with a distance that gets further and further. You know, I had toenails missing, I had skin off the back. You know, I had blisters on my feet, I had a dislodged retina. I had all sorts wrong with my body by the end of that 4 weeks.
Jeez. That was an absolutely incredible video. Like, you got to hear answer those questions honestly. You could tell he was very honest with his answers, didn't hold back a bit. Not the kind of guy to lie. I could tell just by watching that video. Let me know what you guys thought about his answers. Were there any questions or answers that really stuck out to you guys? I'd love to hear it in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and check out the next one. See you guys next time.